Welcome, fight fans, to San Antonio, Texas. The beautiful Riverwalk downtown. And tonight, playoff action featuring that man in the main event, Bubba Badman Jenkins, last year's featherweight runner-up, continues his quest for his first PFL championship. Jesus Pinedo back against the wall, pulled off the upset of the year in knocking out last year's champion, Brendan Loughnane. Josh Rivera, one half of our co-main event. He has been untouchable this year. Martin Hamlin, he's fought for a light heavyweight title in the past. He wants to book his ticket to do so again. We'll start the action here on Plus with some showcase bouts. Billy Alicana's in the building. He'll face Chuck Campbell in our first fight of the night. And how about Des Yanez? Dirty Des won herself a PFL contract on the Challenger Series. You see her getting taped up there. Welcome to the PFL Playoff Pre-Fight Show. Live from San Antonio, Texas. Featherweights and light heavyweights taking center stage in the Smart Cage tonight. Let's take a look at our main card here. I told you Bubba Jenkins, Jesus Pinedo was the main event. Josh Rivera will face Ty Flores in a co-main. You see there, Gabriel Braga is a favorite over Chris Wade, who's in his 5th playoff appearance here for the PFL. Impa Kasanganay is a blue corner favorite over one-time title challenger Martin Hamlin. Those are all playoff semifinals. We'll start though right here on ESPN Plus with our early card. Showcase bouts at light heavyweight in the women's featherweight division and a pair of welterweight showcase bouts marching toward that feature between Thad Jean and Ali Omar, both Challenger Series veterans as well. Sean O'Connell, Randy Couture, Kenny Florian here for the pre-fight show. The playoffs are what the season is all about. This is the true sports format of the Professional Fighters League. It is now win or go home. Keep the $1 million dream alive or watch it die at least until next year. And Randy, these fighters have been active. They went right from fight to training camp, and here we are again.
Yeah, saying I want to be a world champion rolls off the tongue pretty easily. But if you want to get to the nitty gritty, here's what you're looking at. Regular season fight was April 1st. 67 days later, you're going to have to walk back in that cage for your second regular season fight. 56 days after that, you're going to be right here in the playoffs if you're fortunate enough to score enough criteria points. 111 days till that final. That's a little bit more space, but we want you to be sharp. Be careful what you wish for. You want to be a world champion? Signing up to fight 4 times in 8 months. That is no small task.
So, a question that's developing with the way the card shakes out in the playoffs tonight is it better to be the young blood, the newcomer, or to have playoff experience and have been through this format before? Because in all of our semifinal matchups, it's someone who's been in our PFL playoffs previously versus someone who's a newcomer.
Well, I can't wait to find out the answer to that question. But, you know, if we take a look at the light heavyweight division here, you know, we have a couple guys from South Florida, tremendous talents. Joshua Silveira, Impa Kasanganay. Silveira taking on Ty Flores. Martin Hamlin, a guy who has made his way to the final, taking on Impa Kasanganay. So very interesting there. 2 guys from 2 of the best teams in the world. And for the featherweights, we have the same situation. Bubba Jenkins, guy who has a ton of experience now in the PFL in his 3rd season, taking on Jesus Pinedo, the PFL newcomer, trying to get another upset victory. Gabriel Braga taking on Chris Wade, a guy who has more experience than anyone in the PFL. This is his 5th season.
Well, can we talk about that main event, the 1-4 in the featherweight, Bubba Jenkins, Jesus Pinedo, and let's start with Bubba Jenkins. It's cliche in any sport to say every time we see this person, they get better. The development's been incredible, but with Bubba Jenkins, ever since he signed with the PFL, it's been true. He keeps getting better.
Yeah, no question about it. For Bubba Jenkins, you know, he came in really as a wrestler, but he's been developing his skill as a finisher on the ground. His striking has improved a great deal. You see his confidence level there. He was able to battle back, get a win against Chris Wade, a guy who had defeated him before. So he really is firing on all cylinders. There's that rear naked choke against Jo Sung Bin. So he continues to get better and better, no longer just an elite wrestler.
And now let's talk about his opponent, Jesus Pinedo, who, look, Bubba's been clean, slick performances all the way here. Jesus Pinedo had to come off a loss and then get a quick win. Not just a win, but a quick win to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, talk about back against the wall. He lost a split decision, very close against Braga. He had to have a big victory in his next regular season fight, and here that victory was. Big knee up the middle against Brendan Loughnane, the returning champion. Went from relative obscurity in the PFL to beating last year's champion. He's put himself under the gun again. He missed weight by 0.4. So now he's 1 point down on the scorecard. He has to have a finish against a Bubba Jenkins or win every single round, which again is no small feat.
We've got the whole crew in the building for the pre-fight show and of course for these playoffs. And for more on Bubba Jenkins, we send it over to the outlaw, Dan Hart.
Thank you, guys. Very excited to see Bubba Jenkins fight again, but we've definitely seen an evolution from Jenkins, especially since that fight with Chris Wade a while ago. It seemed like it was a bit of a wake-up call for him, to be honest. I mean, Bubba Jenkins is such a strong wrestler, but in that fight with Chris Wade, he got dominated on the mat. Chris Wade was able to put him in positions that most people couldn't do to Bubba Jenkins. It was a real wake-up call. It switched his brain on. It made him realize that he's the strong wrestler. So he goes in there against Ryoji Kudo, picks him up, slams him on his head, and chokes him out. He does the same thing against Sung Bin Jo as well. And then, of course, he goes in there against Chris Wade. And how best to get revenge against Chris Wade but to out-wrestle him, to prove to Chris Wade that Bubba Jenkins is the better wrestler of the two. This fusion of wrestling and submissions is really great for Bubba Jenkins, but that loss to Chris Wade was a real corner turner for him. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Dan. We'll be hearing more from Dan throughout the night. And let's take a little bit closer look at this main event matchup between Bubba Jenkins and Jesus Pinedo.
I know that I am the best fighter this year in the 145-pound division.
Yo he venido aquí a ganar, he venido a... Y ese es, no tengo otro pensamiento, siempre voy a salir a ganar.
Bubba Jenkins with a suplex. He's got the neck. Now this has
Got
been
him
a big
tight.
improvement in his game. He's got it. He's put him in
Suck
place.
in his ass.
Bubba Jenkins with a quick six.
Everybody who thinks they can beat me is on notice.
Oh, and a kick landed. Oh my goodness. Is down and Jesus Pinedo. He is
Voy a salir a acabarlo, voy a noquearlo. Sea en el primero, en el segundo o en el tercero, pero él va a caer.
Every round has been a dominated bad man round. That's the way I see it going.
It's going to be a great matchup in the main event, but how do we bet that matchup and everything else on the card tonight? Well, for that we bring in our experts, the very best in the business, handicapping mixed martial arts bouts. I'm, of course, talking about Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker. Fellas, take it away.
Oh, Sean, good afternoon. So thrilled to be back with the playoffs once again this year, me and Ian. And there's an old saying that that's why you play the game. Would anybody would have predicted that this would be the four fighters in the featherweights? Did anybody predict that Bubba Jenkins would be the #1 seed? Well, Bubba Jenkins did. He has been dominant so far in 2023 as we look at his last 5 outcomes, and it's 4-1. He's had a little bit of everything, but it also shows to what Dan was talking about. He is now a very well-rounded fighter. So, Ian, as we bring you in right now, Bubba thinks he's going to roll through the playoffs and into the finals. What do you think?
You know what? I'm not going against Bubba Jenkins here. I think he has looked tremendous. To Dan Hardy's point, he really has turned a corner since the Chris Wade fight, and the evolution in his striking game has even been impressive, which makes the wrestling that much more dominant. Now, he's fighting someone in Jesus Pinedo that we're all going to sit here and say got the upset over Brendan Loughnane, but he missed Wade. He's now going into this with a point deduction. He's got to either finish Bubba or sweep him across the cards. I just don't see it happening. Now, at -310, that's a little chalky for a money line play. We're not going to do that. We're going to go to fight props here. Now, 2 numbers stick out in my mind, Coach. I know you love that +500 by submission. I don't hate it. I also like by decision -125 since there's no urgency, there's no points, you don't need a first-round finish. But if you got the book to do it, I'm going double method of victory here. I'm going to pay a little bit more at -225, a little bit above that baseline of -200. Bubba Jenkins to win by submission or decision against Jesus Pinedo.
And for everybody watching at home, listen to what Ian said. It's very different in the playoffs as opposed to the bonus points in the regular season. Now, Sean, coming up later in the show, we'll bet the rest of the main card. Also, we have the incredibly popular Parker's Parlay that will tie together the early fights and the main fights as well. That's still to come. But for now, let's send it back to you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Ian. I've been waiting over a month for a Parker's Parlay, and we get one tonight. Can't wait for that. Okay, let's take one more look at the featherweight bracket, and since Dan Hardy brought it up, the Bubba Jenkins-Chris Wade dynamic, okay? If both of these individuals win their semifinal matchups, we get a rubber match, a trilogy. Each of them have won, right? Chris Wade the first time, Bubba Jenkins the second time. These guys legitimately dislike one another. I mean, dislike's not a strong enough word. They hate each other. Take a look.
It's just me and you in there tomorrow. Once they lock the door, you're gonna see. I'm not playing around either. All this BS that's going on, watch. Watch tomorrow.
The first time you fought me, yes, you won. But what I did to you a couple months ago is only gonna get worse.
I really don't give a shit about that guy. I don't think he's a good person. I think his ego's massive.
He's always bitching, he's always crying. Hey, referee, he poked me. Hey, he got my glove. Hey, that was a knee. Yo, Karen, shut your up. We are not out here playing badminton. We are fighting.
You're supposed to be more humble than what he is, considering what he's accomplished, which isn't very much.
I know exactly who I want and how I want it. We ain't never gonna see Chris Wade again.
That is real bad blood between two guys who have both been this close to a PFL championship, and now potentially they could square off against one another with $1 million in that gold belt on the line. For me, this begs the question. Did the great Kenny Florian ever step into a competition with a true dislike for an opponent?
I hated them all equally. It didn't matter. Even if they were nice to me, I hated them.
Randy, same question for you.
No, I never found myself in that situation. I got along with pretty much everybody. I never had any animosity going into a fight. How about you, Vinny Magalesh?
You know what? What's funny was I always joke about Vinny. Before I fought Vinny, I was fine with Vinny. It wasn't until after, when he wouldn't give me credit for beating him, that I was like, you know what, I actually don't like that guy. That's just how it works. Let's take a look at our light heavyweight bracket, as long as we're talking about 205-pound championships. Josh Silveira, he wants to punch his ticket for his first championship opportunity. He is the playoff experience guy on that half of the bracket. Ty Flores is a newcomer at the 4 seed. Martin Hamlet, he's been in the championship. It was a short fight. He gave up his back, unfortunately. He got choked out by Shoeface. He's been trying to fight back to this opportunity ever since, and Impaka Sanganai has designs on the championship. Okay, let's talk about Josh Silveira. He was born into a fighting family. He's been raised in a gym. How much does that help him tonight?
I think it helps him a lot. You know, sometimes it can be a detriment. You know, you think that, hey, my name, my reputation is going to do all the work for me. Well, it doesn't. This is a guy who comes from a Division I wrestling background. Oh, and also happens to be a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. When those two things come together, it is the perfect marriage. And Josh Silveira also has been improving his striking to a very high level now as well. He's been working extremely hard, and we're seeing all of that this year.
So that's the guy. He fought in the semifinals against a teammate last year, not a teammate, this semifinal tonight. Ty Flores, newcomer, he's kind of burst onto the scene coming off a couple really impressive performances.
Yeah, no, and Conan Silveira and I have a little in common. We both had our son step into that cage, and I got to talk to Conan about that, asked him how his nerves were. And he said, you know what, I don't really get nervous. I wear my coach's hat. That's what he needs me for right now as a coach. I will go off and be excited or nervous and all other stuff after the fact. Ty Flores is a gamer, man. He's had 2 great wins, unanimous decisions against Dan Spawn, a favorite, a veteran. Here he is against Daylon Monte, another unanimous decision. He will take you down. He will sit on top of you, make you very uncomfortable. Ground and pound is on point. Wrestling is sharp. He's nothing flashy or fancy. He'd probably rather talk to you about hunting than fighting, but he is a gamer, and he is here to win.
Also the much bigger fighter against Josh Silveira. We'll see if that comes into play in the co-main event. How are we betting this one? Coach Ian, tell us.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Silveira, the sportsbooks thinks he's going to move on because he is nearly minus 500. But Ian, we can't bet that. How can we bet it?
This may sound redundant, Coach, but that doesn't bother me at all, because right now we're going to go back to fight props. Silveira is going to have an advantage besides the experience on the ground. Yes, Ty Flores has the wrestling, but we saw it against Dan Spawn. He started to gas out. There were moments there where Spawn almost knocked him out, and Flores is not going to be able to take down Josh Silveira that easy. I'm going to go Josh Silveira also by double method of victory, by submission or decision here. If you want to take it just by submission at plus 130, I don't hate it, but double method for me is the way we're going to go with the co-main event.
All right, back to the featherweight. Sometimes you got to be good and lucky. With Mo lead out, Chris Wade is back in. He's the number 5 seed, but we'd love to see him against Bubba Jenkins. Are we going to?
You know what? I'm going to take Chris Wade at plus money here. The experience and the wrestling is something that Braga just has not had opposite to him. I know he fought Marlon Moraes, who does have the experience, but Moraes has been knocked out way too many times to even be comfortable in that fight. But Chris Wade is built different. He's tough, he can push at pace, and his wrestling is next level. Braga has not fought this type of competition. I think he's the real deal. But at Wade at plus money, I'm going with the underdog, Coach.
All right, let's go back to the light heavyweight semifinal. Martin Hamlet a year ago did not make the playoffs. He did this year. He's taking on Impa. No joke. How do you see it?
You know what? Impa is a phenomenal fighter. However, he is fighting in a weight class that I think he's a natural middleweight. He's going to be the smaller fighter, but he might be the better striker here. But the key with Hamlet, he's going to have that wrestling advantage. And with him not having to blow the gas tank trying to finish in round 1, if he could pace himself, the size and wrestling and top pressure could be a huge problem. You can ask Randy Couture all about that. Dogs are barking tonight. Let's go with the dark horse, Martin Hamlet.
Oh, and now it's time for our bold prediction brought to you by Puncher's Chance. Where are we going with this one, Ian Parker?
Well, Jonathan Coachman, we are going to go with Bubba Jenkins, round 2 submission at plus 1,400. Pinedo has to get a finish, as I just don't see him winning 3 scorecards in this fight. I think he may gas himself out. He missed weight. He got in late with his travel. I could see Bubba weathering an early storm. Second round, rear naked choke, plus 1,400. Sign me up. Let's go.
I could have swore I just heard you say plus 1,400. Because you did. Now, Sean O'Connell coming up later. We've got one early fight, but also we've got a very, very nice Parker's Parlay that will tie the early fights into the late evening. That's coming up, but for now, let's send it back to you.
Ian Parker finding you plus money on a couple of dogs and that bold prediction. Plenty more to talk about as we move towards this main event. Bubba Jenkins. Will the third time be the charm for the Division I national champion from Arizona State? We'll find out later tonight. Jesus Pinedo coming off a huge upset. One of the upsets of the year in the whole sport of mixed martial arts. Feels like he's ready to shock the world again.
How do you achieve greatness? It's setting goals with relentless determination. It's going hard when you want to quit and when no one else is watching. It's what you put in your body to perform at your highest state. That's why you choose MRE Whole Food Protein Shake. MRE Protein Shake is packed with 25 grams of whole food protein to help you rebuild and recover. And with zero whey protein, it's gentle on your stomach so you can feel your best and show up again tomorrow.
Hurricane Shane Burgos, ladies and gentlemen, one shot is all it takes. You better about it.
Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick. Let the bass. Let the bass kick.
Already limping on that. Oh, right hand! 6 points for Braga and a playoff spot for the still undefeated Brazilian. Oh, he's got the neck! High of a guillotine! He's got it very tight! Wade squeezing and kudos out! 6 points for Chris Wade! He keeps the playoff hopes alive!
Aí eu me sinto pronto, tava pensando na minha última luta desde a primeira.
I have an alter ego in me that when he comes out, I'm a tough beat.
Nice cradle by Chris Wade.
Big right hand.
Left hand from Braga.
Oh, right hand. Oh, nice left hook from Braga.
Switching his stance constantly to give Jenkins different looks.
Welcome back to the pre-fight show. These are the playoffs, and this is how our season format works. For all of you newcomers, 10 fighters in each weight class, 6 different weight classes, 2 regular season fights are already in the books. They got 3 points for wins, bonus points for a finish in each round. That helps us seed the fighters. The top 4 fighters are here in the playoffs, trying to fight their way to a $1 million championship in each division. 4 semifinal fights on our main card, 2 at featherweight, 2 at light heavyweight. We'll start the action on the main card with a lightweight showcase featuring an undefeated Elvin Espinoza and the newcomer Keone Diggs. The action begins right here exclusively on ESPN Plus in just a few minutes. All of these incredible showcase matchups, some Challenger Series veterans here, moving toward a feature bout between Thad Jean and Ali Omar, a couple of guys we saw down in Orlando. In fact, 3 contract winners from the Challenger Series on our card tonight. Let's start with Elvin Espinoza. He's on the main card to open the action, taking on Keone Diggs. He's undefeated. He's been impressive so far.
Yeah, he sure has, and he's a finisher through and through, especially when he takes that fight to the ground. He's been working very hard on his striking in preparation for this fight, but he does his best work when he gets you on your back. He's so good at also taking your back and getting that rear naked choke finish. Really excited to see if we do see a stand-up war, the improvement in his striking skills in this one, but he's just so much fun to watch. Always looking for the finish, always moving forward.
All right, so that will be the first fight on the main card on ESPN. Working backwards, the last fight on ESPN Plus features Thad Jean. This is a massive welterweight and also an undefeated prospect.
Yeah, very, very tall kid, very rangy, long-range weapons on display for sure. He's got great wrestling defense, so he can keep fights exactly where he wants them. Not afraid to step in the pocket and let you have it. The hands and the feet are on point. There's that sprawl, that wrestling. This kid is very, very well-rounded, undefeated in his young career, and a very, very bright future for Thad Jean, and a favorite here to win this evening. Can he get it done?
All right, so that's 2 of the Challenger Series contract winners. I told you there were 3. For more on the third, let's send it over to Paige Van Zandt.
Hey guys, we have an incredible matchup tonight between 2 women flyweights, Desiree Yanez and Lisa Maldine. Both of these women competed on the PFL Challenger Series. Both of them walked away with a win. Desiree, ultimately, Dirty Des, put in the work, extremely aggressive from start to finish. Beautiful victory. Lisa had to fight through some adversity, got taken down early, came back, also got the nod in the end of the round. Now, Des got the contract. She was chosen by the celebrity panel and the fan vote. Now Lisa has the opportunity to show the world why she was the one who should have received the contract in that Challenger Series.
All right, thank you, Paige. We'll be checking in with Paige Van Zandt throughout the night. I was told we were going to get a Parker's Parlay and some advice on how to bet the early card. Jonathan Coachman, Ian Parker, what are we doing here?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Sean O'Connell. Now, Ian Parker, we got to get right down to it. I need 1 pick and 1 pick only right now from the early card. Where are you going?
I don't want Sean to jump out of his seat, so let's do this. We got Desiree Yanez, Dirty Des. She's my first pick. You know what, from the Challenger Series, the thing about Desiree, she's fought other organizations, other promotions where she just keeps getting better. If the fight stays on the feet, she's going to have a huge advantage. This line should be higher. At minus 185, we're going with Dirty Des.
Well, we just heard the guys talk about Espinoza, and I'd love to throw in a little bonus pick for everyone. Like Espinoza tonight?
You know what? I do like Elvin Espinoza. Now, this line started off earlier in the day at minus 140. Now it's minus 110 each way. He is fighting someone in Keone Diggs who's going to have to keep on the ground if it goes there. I've seen Espinoza now fight 3 times in the PFL. Keeps getting better. Very dangerous once the fight gets there. At minus 110, Espinoza is my pick.
Now, only in MMA do we recommend parlays because sometimes the odds are just so big. We do tonight. I've got 4 fights that I'm looking at that you put them all together and they tell me what. Start with early to late.
Well, let's start with Anthony Ivy. Not only do I think he wins this fight, I think he gets it done inside the distance. So also keep in mind, Coach, if you look at the PFL betting big board, that number starting off at -285 is going to drop as I add people to it. Next up, we mentioned Thad Jean. We saw him on the Challenger Series. He looks fantastic. Wherever this fight goes, he is more than prepared. Keep an eye. This kid may be the future in this division. We're already at -161. We still got a few more to go. Back to Josh Silveira. This is the time we're -675. I'll take it. Let's get that number even lower. We're now at -116. And last but not least, let's go with the bad man, Bubba Jenkins, giving me +146. Let's go.
If you hit this parlay, you, sir, will then be a bad man as well. Now, Sean, we're going to be here throughout the night. We're going to talk live betting. We're going to be updating live. It's the first night of the playoffs, so let's get going. Back to you.
Thank you, fellas. Ian, don't let him lie to you. Even if you hit the parlay, you're not a bad man. All right, but some interesting picks there, including on the Parker's parlay. You know, we're moments away from starting the action, from getting fighters in the smart cage. But these are the playoffs, Kenny. What do you expect tonight?
You know, it's all about, experience really counts for a lot, but it's going to be how they manage that stress, how they manage that pressure. And anytime you've been here before, it definitely is an advantage.
All right, Randy. And what about the early card? Because, yes, it's all about the playoffs and it's all about the semifinals on the main card. But all these folks that are fighting, and we've seen in the Challenger Series, they're looking to impress the bosses and be part of a season in 2024. Do we see someone from tonight on the main roster next year?
There's a very, very talented pool there of young, hungry athletes. Who's going to stand out? Who's going to get the nod and be in next year's season?
Incredible fights beginning in a few moments right here on ESPN+. That's Billy Elicana, 205-pounder. He'll be taking on Chuck Campbell. Two big boys will be swinging away on the other side, looking to impress the bosses. Be with us when the action starts on ESPN+.
How do you achieve greatness? It's setting goals with relentless determination. It's going hard when you want to quit and when no one else is watching. It's what you put in your body to perform at your highest state. That's why you choose MRE Whole Food Protein Shake. MRE Protein Shake is packed with 25 grams of whole food protein to help you rebuild and recover. And with zero whey protein, it's gentle on your stomach so you can feel your best and show up again tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, one shot is all it takes.
We support all those willing to take the puncher's chance.
It's about challenging myself every day, taking a chance.
It's never standing still, never taking it for granted, and never following because you never know what lies ahead.
Living life my way, enjoying the ride, despite the obstacles.
Achieving your goals takes grit and determination, with a bit of luck and the help of a few good friends. But to create a memorable life takes something more.
The puncher's chance.
The world can be a dangerous place. Victory sometimes requires a different kind of soldier. The Army National Guard is searching for the best of the best to serve within the Special Forces community. You'll train to master the weapons, tactics, and strategies of unconventional warfare and take your place among the elite few to wear the Army's legendary Green Beret. Army National Guard Special Forces. Impossible is their day job.